use the international version for the feasibility application. So under add-on, if you go and click on international, the menu on your sidebar is going to change, and you do the same thing. You press the create sheet button and give it a few seconds, and it'll start creating all the sheets that are necessary. Now, because this is a massive sheet, it has a whole lot of different details that you've got to be mindful of. So it does take a few seconds longer to actually put together. But once it is ready, you'll be prompted with a message saying sheets are created, and all sheets are created. Click OK, and that's where you start. So in this section, you've got, again, everything that's in the blue cell is an input cell, and you can actually come in. It comes pre-populated with some common development-related cost codes that you would use, and you can actually totally go in and customize them. And I'll explain that more in the free training that comes with the add-on. And in your dashboard, you will come in and you will start putting in details of your project timeline and your dependencies here, and what you're going to borrow the land construction finance for, and what the LVRs and the set of costs are going to be in that feasibility. In terms of your construction and sales, you've got all the details right here, and the same thing we do is with the budget. So in here we've got all the details. You can do even commercial and retail and mixed use development feasibility on this, and you can actually calculate the cost of construction either by a lump sum amount. You can select the individual area cost per square feet, or per unit, or per square feet, or the average cost per square feet, or you can give them an individual rate for each area if you had them. And the same way you calculate your market value, also that can be calculated in two different ways. If you've got a square meter rate, you can use the square meter rate. If you've got a square, if you know the price for per unit, you can use that as a per unit rate in there as well. And when we go into the budget, all the section here for your cash flow comes out blank, because that depends upon your input value. So you'll come in and select your S-curve that you want to use, S-curve or a straight line. You'll select the steepness of your curve, if it's going to be flat, steep, moderately steep, flat, whatever. You'll get your details. You'll put in your values, and once you put in those values, it does a check based on when your stage actually starts and when it actually ends, based on what you actually put in your project timeline and your schedule. Once you put in all the details, starting from your construction details or your costs and everything have already been put in and allocated to when they actually occur in your timeline, you just press update values, and it goes on and does the calculation for you. And you'll notice that all this area will now get populated within a few seconds, because it is allowed. You can go up to 59 months in this, plus the 0th, which is the month that you actually start, so about 60 months. So you can do calculations in this up to 5 years, if a project even spans 5 years, which is normally not the case, especially in small to medium-sized developments. So all these values will get updated over here, and up until the point where you've got your construction finance. So once these are all calculated, where your construction finance comes in, you can then come into your construction finance. It picks up the value based on your LVR that you've already selected, but you have the option to actually override that. So once it is here, you click on calculate construction interest. So based on your LVR, it's going to go out and do the calculation for your interest. It actually does assume again that the developer's equity is going to go in first and the loan's going to come in second. Once these values are updated, you'll get a message saying that sheets have been updated, and you'll see new values will get populated over here based on your calculations. Once these new values are in here, there's not a lot to do. Again, follow the detailed feasibility that you will get with the with this application if you were to get the application. So you'll get these values here, and then it's all done. Your bank summary is updated, and then your developer summary is updated. Now this is the international version, and you've got your the only difference between a bank summary and a developer summary is because if you put in your money into the project and that you want to allow a cost for that money, The bank summary does not include the cost of developer's equity. Unless you borrow something else. So if you were to use your line of credit or your own cash, that's the part that's not covered in that. But if you were to see what would that mean if you wanted to, basically allow interest costs or holding costs or cost for your developer's equity, you can see that in the developer summary, because that's something you don't share with the bank or your lender, and that is why I've kept them in two separate tabs in there. So these again come with the full sensitivity analysis tables and your development margin and your return on equity, and it does all the calculations for your internal rate of return, net present value of the project on the equity based on a hurdle rate that you give it, and also the residual value of land based on your target development margin that you select. So based on that, it will give you all these calculations. In the next video, I'll explain you how the Australian version of the same add-on actually works.